Hello, welcome back. It's Deborah at Attic Lane, and I'm here to show you 10 cards made using the Julie Loves All Wrapped Up stamp sets. Here they are, they're very, very lovely. The first one is called Christmas Icons. I had to write that on the back because it's not actually on the packaging itself. And the other one is called Christmas Sentiments. You can see there are absolutely loads of stamps in both of these sets. Those little hearts are very sweet. For card 1, I'm going to show you a card that isn't a Christmas card. The elements in this set are so variable you could use them to make a birthday card, a spring card, a summer card, depending on the icons that you choose to use and the colours of inks that you choose to use. So here I'm building up a circular pattern using some of those icons that maybe hint more of flowers or leaves and aren't just about snowflakes and snowmen. You can see the image really building up now. What was nice about playing with the icons is that if they don't fit into your existing picture one way, if you twist them around, they may well fit in better. That's what happened with these ribbons. I tried them the other way up and it didn't work, so I turned them around. That squeaking is my dog. He's got a new toy and he thinks I should go and play with him instead of talking to you. Okay, so here I'm adding the finishing touches. And I'm happy with the design, and I'm going to add a sentiment. I'm using a really nice, very subtle grey shade called Chateau Grey to ink up the sentiment, and I'm just going to stamp that on, and then I'm going to use that ink pad to go around the outside of the design just to add a little bit of a nice finish, a nice soft border to that card. To create a mat to go under that finished design, I'm going to use some Starlight's metallic paint by Imagination Craft, and this is Pink Sunset, and I'm just going around the edges. I don't need it in the centre of the card. I'm sticking that onto the front of my greetings card, and I'm just taking off some foam pads that I've taken on the top design. Now that's glued in place, and I'm using Nuvo crystal drops in pink and in blue to complete the design, just to give it a little bit of pizzazz, and as ever the Wink of Stella pen, the clear Wink of Stella pen, and that's the card finished. On to card 2, and for this I'm using my Versamark ink pad, and I'm just randomly inking up some snowflakes. I'm using a white embossing powder. Once that's heat set, you'll see it gives a really nice snowflake shimmer. There we go, shimmer shimmer. And I'm taking 2 Distress Oxide ink pads. I'm going to smoosh them onto my craft mat. I'm going to spritz them with a little bit of water, and then I'm going to drag my paper through them to create a nice background. And I'm heat setting that ready for the next stage. So I'm repeating that with more of the Distress Oxide, this time with the Worn Lipstick, which is actually more pinky than it appears on the screen. And again, heat setting that ready for the next stage. I've cut both of these pieces to shape to fit my card, and I'm going to add my sentiment. And this time I'm using Joy. I'm using my Versamark ink pad just to go around the edges of the base card, because I want to add some gold shimmer glitter heat embossing just to make it more Christmassy and make it a little bit more vibrant, and I've done the same with the pink piece as well. And now I've got some very beautiful gold twine, and I'm going to create a little bow on my tag. I'm putting in some notches with my scissors because that will help to hold the thread in place. It's quite frustrating when you spend ages getting the thread just in the right place and then it all ends up bunching together when you don't want it. Some foam pads on the back of my pink tag will add dimension when I place it on the base piece. There we go, job nearly done. I'm now adding some just pearls, and this is pure gold from Imagination Crafts. I've prepared card 3 by putting a very thin strip of removable tape across the centre and then rubbing some soft coloured yellow ink in the centre. I'm stamping up the parcel icon in blue ink, and I'm going to go around in a circle. Whenever I come to the masking tape, I'm just going to pretend it's not there. I'm going to stamp over it because that way my circle will stay true. You can see it building up. When I'm happy with the design, I'm going to place it on my stamping platform, and I'm going to remove that strip of tape down the centre so that I can add a sentiment, and I'm using some words from another Craftwork card stamp set. And I'm going to stamp "Wishing you an amazing day." I'm going to add some glossy accents to all of the hearts. And inevitably I'm going to add the clear Wink of Stella pen to the parcels in the centre, and then I'm going to use my black marker pen just to run a little border around the outside, and with that my card will be finished. Card 4 was made in the same way, so I'm just going to show you the finished result, but I am going to go a little bit Sesame Street on you, and I'm going to say this card was brought to you by the colours Evergreen, Bamboo, Split Pea and Rose Red, and it was completed with pure gold just pearls from Imagination Crafts. Card 5 was created in a similar style. The colours used were bamboo, green tea, boysenberry and lilac, and I finished it off using Imagination Crafts just pearls in copper. Our next card is nice and simple. I just used some ink pigments. One of them is Brushos and the other one is from Ken Oliver Crafts, and it's Merlot Colourburst. Dropped them onto a piece of card and then spritzed them with some water and then dried it off. Once I was happy with the colours, I dusted it with an anti-static bag. Then I got my Versacolour ink pad and I got some snowflakes and dabbed them in random places all over the card. This is silver embossing powder, which I'm going to heat set in place. I'm using the largest of the sentiments, Christmas, and I'm just going to stamp that right across the middle. And I'm happy with that. This is just being mounted onto some blue card, and I'm going to complete it with a piece of silver ribbon. The foam pads on the back have been positioned in such a way that I can put the twine around the card without having to add extra bulk to it. And the card is finished. Card 7 uses a black card with a round aperture in the front, and I'm going to ink it up with Christmas wishes, and I'm going to add gold embossing powder and I'm going to heat set that. I've cut a piece of white card that will fit underneath it, and I'm just drawing a circle with my pencil because I want to give myself a border within which to work. I'm going to cut out a wavy line from a piece of green paper here, which is going to be used as hills. The techniques for this card are all borrowed from Wendy Gage of Cardio Cards, and I will add a link to her site at the bottom of this video. I'm using a dry baby wipe to rub in two colours, Atlantic and Neptune, to give myself a scene. And I'm using some foliage from the icon stamps as well, and I'm going to stamp them in black ink around my pencil line. You can see I'm building up the scene, and now I'm adding in some holly as well. I'm going to go in a little bit closer just so you can see where I add the stag from the Icons kit. To finish my scene, I'm going to add one of the baubles. I'm going to ink it on there 3 times, and then I'm going to use the gold embossing powder to give it some sparkle. You can see the shiny, and now I'm adding a little line with my black marker pen just to make it look like they are suspended from the wreath around them. And now it's time to remove the messy paper at the bottom, and you can see I've left myself a nice white gap under there to make it look like it's snow. I'm using my glue pen to add some dots, and I'm going to cover that with glitter so that that will give the card a little bit more shine and zing. Shiny, shiny. And now that it's dry, I will add it into the card. And that will be glued in place, and my card is complete. On to card 8. I'm using Starlight paints again, in blue and in pink. And I'm going to water those down so that I can create a consistency that's just right to create some splashes on my card base. So clean that down, and I'm going to go with my pink and create some splashes with that as well. And these colours were inspired by the original Julie Loves kit, all wrapped up, which used these very modern, very contemporary colours for Christmas. I'm using the blue paint to create a background. I'm not too fussed about the lines that you can see there because I'm going to use it to stamp onto. And by the time I emboss these trees with white embossing powder, there won't be a great deal of that background showing. So now they've been heat embossed, I'm going to cut each of the trees out with my scissors. I'm going to use a die, and I thought I would show you how I store my dies because everyone has different ideas about how to do this. I use this A5 folder from Paper Crafts, and it cost me £2.50, and I've got a big elastic band I put round it just to keep it closed. So I'm going to cut out a square in the centre of my card using my Sizzix Big Shot. That's a nice little card to use for something else in the future. So I'm getting my trees ready. I want to make sure that they fit nicely in my aperture, and I'm going to protect the inside of my card with that sheet of green paper. When I'm happy with the position of the trees, I'm going to glue those in place, and then because I don't want the trees to appear as if they're simply floating on the card, I'm just roughly ripping a piece of white card which I'm going to stick on the bottom of the trees to make it look as if there's a snow line in front of those trees. It also then gives me a nice white space onto which I can stamp my next sentiment. So I'm cutting that so that it fits with the card neatly, and I'm using my stamping platform to decide where I'm going to put my sentiment, which is going to be Peace on Earth. I'm just inking that up with black Versamark ink, and I've also included a little dove of peace hovering above the trees. So my card is very nearly finished. I'm going to add a black border with my marker pen. That just frames the image and it pulls the whole card together. Card 9 is going to be a summary card. So I'm inking around the edges of my card, which I've cut down. I want this to be square, and I'm just creating a nice frame for the icons that I'm going to use. And I'm going with the flower type stamps. There's quite a few of those in this kit and they're very versatile. I'm using a range of cheerful summer colours, and I'm just going to build up an image starting from that left corner and working out across the card. You can see the picture building up, and I'm going to add some detail with these beautiful little hearts. I really like this stamp, it's so useful. When I'm happy with the position of all those little flowers, I'm going to add some foliage. I just can't leave it alone. I have to add a little bit more detail every time I look at it. I'm going to use this Hello die. I've cut this out 5 times and I'm using my glue pen to help me layer it up. This will give it the effect of being a little bit thicker, and it will make it as if it's a chipboard sentiment that I can stick onto my card. I'm going to find a place to position that I'm happy with, and I'm going to stick it in place and go over it with Wink of Stella to give that sentiment a little bit of shimmer. To complete the card, I'm going to use Nuvo Crystal Drops in blue, and I'm just going to pop those in the centre of some of those pink flowers just to give it some extra dimension. For card 10, it's going to be a red and a white card, but I want the white to properly zing out of the card base. I don't want it to be flat, so I'm using a paint called Pearl Glaze from Paper Artsy to put all over the base of my card. I'm using Red Geranium archival ink, and I'm going to use this to cover my card. This will give this some shimmer as well. Now I'm going to take some of the snowflakes from the stamp set. I'm going to use my Versamark ink pad, ink those up, and then I'm going to emboss them with a white embossing powder. And you can see I've covered the card with the snowflakes. I'm going to use the words to be the dominant feature of this card, so I'm just stamping them onto the card, and you can see I've cut and positioned and glued the red background with the white snowflakes that was created earlier. And I'm putting a score line down this card to differentiate between the top and the bottom, and also give me a nice border against which I can butt my gold ribbon. I'm going to make the words stand out a little bit more by going around them with a white pen, and then I'm going to add Imagination Crafts Gold Just Pearls on the top of the card. And then my card is finished. And I'm going to say thank you very much for watching, thank you for your time. I'm going to leave you with some photographs of all of the cards, and I hope that you got some inspiration from this video and that you'll try some of your own cards.